Broad Street Review podcast is an extension of Broad Street Review, Philly's home for arts, culture, and conversation, an online arts and culture journal covering the greater Philadelphia area. I'm your host, Darnell Radford.
Today on the podcast, TS Hawkins, Gabrielle Corsaro, and author Tina Strawn talk about the AngelPirate Productions, the Are We Free Yet? Project, an elevated stage reading based on the book Are We Free Yet? The Black Queer Guide to Divorcing America. Here is my interview with AngelPirate Productions for the Are We Free Yet? Project. And welcome to the podcast. I am your host, Darnell Radford, and today I am in the studio with AngelPirate Productions, who is here to talk about the Are We Free Yet? Project. And this project is based on a book by Tina Strawn and curated, written, and directed by TS Hawkins. And we have members of this production in the virtual studio today, and we will give them a chance to introduce themselves, and we will start with Gabrielle.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle Corsaro, Artistic Director of AngelPirate Productions. And yes, I am producing this elevated stage reading, and I am very thrilled to be here.
Okay. And Tina?
Hello, I am Tina Strawn. I am the author of the book that is inspired by the play, and the book is titled Are We Free Yet? The Black Queer Guide to Divorcing America. And I'm excited to see this project take shape and take off.
Hey, and TS.
Hello, I'm TS Hawkins, and I am the curator, the playwright, the director of this beautiful piece we get to see on its feet, the Are We Free project, inspired by Tina's book. And I'm just excited to be in community with each and one of these lovelies.
Great. Thank you all for joining us today. So tell me a little bit about AngelPirate Productions.
So let's see. I started so AngelPirate Productions is called AngelPirate because my name is Gabrielle Corsaro. Gabrielle from Gabriel, the Angel of Mercy, and Corsaro is a word used for pirate in Italian. And so for a long time, I thought about what angel pirates might be, aside from a cool image, which is my logo is, I think, pretty cool. It's an angel with patch over her eye. And I thought, well, what is that? And I thought, well, that's a disruptor. That's someone who's out to do good and is not asking for permission. And found myself wanting to, since I'm from Philadelphia and lived in New York for over 10 years and then came back here, I just saw the great discrepancy between the people on the streets of Philadelphia and the people in the theaters, especially the most prominent theaters. We are a city lush and flush with Black and brown lives and bodies, and our theaters were not. And so the mission for AngelPirate became that we were going to do whatever we could to support and center the work of the global majority and Black and brown folks, particularly those in the Philadelphia area. And that's what we've been doing.
Great. Such a living conversation. It is
Very much
so relevant every day. As soon as you think it's not, it still is.
Still is. Absolutely. Yeah. And we started in 2005. We were, it was a very popular thing to be doing a few years back. But we're never going to stop doing this.
That's great. And Tina, tell us about this book.
The book is it's part memoir and part guidebook. It tells the story. I'll tell you from the time that I began writing it to the time that I finished writing it, it became a different story, a different take on what I thought it would be. What I thought would be this full memoir to kind of chronicle my grieving and healing process after my wife left unexpectedly. It very quickly turned into not just that; it has those components, but it shifted to, well, what does it look like on as you're going through your grieving and healing journey? What does it look like to experience and center your peace and your pleasure? And what does it look like to center joy and celebration? And isn't that actually, in fact, what activism and liberation is? So it's then turned into this beautiful guidebook along the lines of what does it mean to divorce the United States of America through my queer, Black, feminist, nomad eyes, through my eyes as a woman who has an ex-husband and an ex-wife and now an ex-country. So it starts kind of around 2020. It takes us all back to a very defining moment in the current racial climate that summer and that start of 2020, right when COVID began, right going into the racial uprisings of the summer of 2020. And it basically brings us to me eventually moving to Jamaica and even then Costa Rica, which is where I live now. And so now it gets to take on a new form and shape in the form of this beautiful elevated stage reading.
That's great. When you said that ex-husband, ex-wife, ex-country, that sounds like the working title for this book.
It felt like that. I kind of moved through those different phases in my life in the book. You'll see when you read it, and that you'll move through that with me.
Yeah. So it was published in January of 2023. How long did it take you to write it?
Well, the version that is on bookshelves everywhere, that version kind of came quickly because, again, it went from one thing to something different. The current version that it's in, that probably took, I'd say, 3 to 6 months.
That sounds like very little time.
And when you look at
when I think about
it is only a little time.
But if you have it all ready and now it just pours out of you, did it pour out of you, or were there moments where you needed to walk away from it, come back?
Honestly, a little bit of both. There was definitely moments where it just came like a flood and like a rush, and then there were moments where I had to step back and almost channel a bit and just check in with my ancestors and spirit and what needs to come through right now. So it definitely was a little bit of both and a lot more.
Right. So now we'll go to TS. TS, how did you discover this book, and what were your initial thoughts after the first read?
Well, I Columbus nothing. The book was gifted to me from Gabby. Gabby was like, I've been reading this fantastic memoir, emotional roller coaster, and I think it should be on stage. And I'm like, cool beans, Gabby. Like, Gabby gets to read a lot more than I do, which makes me a little jealous because we're both, lovers of books. And, we're teaching the kids. I don't get time often. But Gabby was like, I'm in love. I'm in love with this book, and I am in love with you. Is there a way that we could merge these two things? And I was like, okay, sure. It's Gabby. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to do it. So then I had to make, time and space, in my life that's so ever revolving to be like, okay, now I have to read a book. Great. Fantastic. And then when I read Tina's book, I was like, where has Tina been? Like, what has Tina been doing? Why is Tina not part of my life? Oh, because she in Costa Rica. Cool beans. And I'm just, struggling over here in the East Coast, just trying to be Black, queer, and make magic. Got it. I'm on the wrong path. Heard. And so from there, like in looking at the book and looking at the text, like not just someone who's just like reading it to read it, but also going back and looking at it through the lens of a playwright, and then going back and looking at it through the lens of a dramaturg, and then going back and looking at it as someone who had to like curate the experience for the audience. Like, so having to read that book 3 times, like I gotten so many different perspectives. It's touched me in different ways in my different brain space on how to execute it. And yes, yes, it is a guide, but it is a vast catalog of like emotional excavation. And it is a beauty and a whirlwind to live in. And so being able to create characters that reflect the journey of the book has actually been an honor. I know some folks who have read the book to be like, the character is Destiny and Antiquity don't live here. And I was like, exactly, because I'm not trying to get sued by none of Tina's lovers. So everybody's going to get a new name and we just going to move on. But the essence of the journey of the book from beginning to end definitely lives and pulpates in this work. And I'm just excited to see it on its feet.
Great. So what did inspire the two names?
Oh, antiquity. So antiquity comes from the conversations, Black and brown folks have at the kitchen table, right? We understand, the horrors and the trauma of the past. However, the thought of what the future could be, though we have aspirations and, are inspired to do more and be better, there's still fret there. So we hold on to a past because we know what that can already provide. And so when you hold on to the past, it kind of like halts progress a bit because your fear of the unknown. So that's where antiquity comes from. And then you have Destiny. Like Destiny, she free-willed and she's like, listen, okay, so they messing. What we gonna do? So we're just gonna sit here and complain, or we're gonna make moves? So Destiny's energy is much more ebb and flow, free wielding, kind of taking Tina's spirit a little bit inadvertently, which is beautiful. So having those two characters come together and actually have the conversations that sometimes we are afraid to come out, say out loud because we don't want to be judged, or, we don't want, our home life or our rearing to come under speculation of what we've been told on, how we guide our thoughts and feelings. But this piece really brings those conversations literally to the table to have out loud.
Great. Tina, did you have any apprehension at all about this piece moving in this direction?
Did I have any apprehension about this piece moving in this direction? I did. I think I was surprised that I did a bit. And it was interesting going through the process of acknowledging that now that I have written this book and put it out into the world, it now belongs to everyone and it's going to mean something different to everyone. It's going to take on a life of its own, much like my 3 children. I gave birth to it and now it's going to go out into the world and do its own thing. So that was the apprehension. It was the apprehension of, oh, my baby is growing and it's turning into this thing that I didn't know it could be. And so it's apprehension, but it's also a lot of pride.
Yes, the pride, holding on so tightly, but then at the same time allowing it to be interpreted by everyone else, which is the goal anyway. I always think it's so great that the author has a direct intention, but because of how we enter into the space and how we process the piece, we bring in our own stuff, and we see it because of your blueprint. We're able to see it differently and see that there's more to it, And I'm sure for you, you wrote the book, but there was editing, and so there's probably, bits of this story that are, in a folder somewhere. Maybe they'll be repackaged, or maybe it'll be in a revision or something. But yeah, I always find that to be very interesting, and I think that's also the beauty of theater. We can see a Shakespeare play in a season 3 or 4 times by different producers, and the interpretation is always different. So um, it's not enough to say, I already saw Midsummer, unless you're over Midsummer in general. But, there's several other companies. So you're just saying, like, I wonder how they're going to perceive this. And I wonder if I'll see it differently through their lens. Yeah, so it's exciting and daunting and a little scary at the same
All
time.
of those things, yes.
So talk a little bit about the process, and but before that, explain what an elevated reading is for those who may not understand.
Oh, yes. So in the theater world, when usually you go to a reading, it is very just like being present with the text. What we are offering is still, as if it could be, a production. So, there's going to be lights, there is going to be sound, there's going to be some light blocking and some other fun things I don't want to tell people about, because guess what? You should just experience it. So it's going to be more than just the actors, the music stands, the black box, the words. We're trying to create an opportunity for folks to be invited into the world of these characters and be invited to the world of the play and be inspired by the book itself.
And so have you had a general stage reading of the piece prior? And if so, what was the experience from that?
Nope, we're going full gorilla on this.
Wow. So that makes it even more exciting.
It does.
Because I'm in a play development group in New York, and over the summer, I bring some of those plays to Philadelphia to kind of get them on their legs and so on. And I always think about the process where, we need to hear it off the page first from the voices of these actors, and then we go back and, make changes and tweak it, and then we come back and we do it again. And at some point, we're like, we're just doing this. We have to do something different the next time. So yes, the rise of the elevated reading, which it isn't really a rise, but I think it's more exciting for the process too, and for the people who love to be a part of a new work's journey. I do celebrate the elevated nature of a reading.
Absolutely. I think every new work should go through an experience like this. So just to let our listeners and viewers know, like, this work is going through a 29-hour process with the reading happening on that Saturday. So, we are doing, some theater standards, but then we are also bending and shaking those standards, because a new work needs to be seen. And because we are in an industry that does not guarantee a new work to have a full production, everyone involved needs the opportunity to watch that world unfold in whatever way possible. So not only, Gabby, so beautifully is just like, so yes, do you. But also I think other theaters should take the reign and actually truly invest in new play development. This is what investing in new play development should look like.
Absolutely. Let's talk about when this process started, because yeah, the thought of an elevated production, it's I guess it's kind of a workshop mode where it has all the additional elements. Like, when did you start planning this? Because I know, TS, your plate is always full.
True. True. But I like it though. I'm a Virgo. It makes me happy. If it's not full, we have problems. And Gabby definitely chime in on this too. Gabby reached it. What is the year now? 2024. Fantastic. Gabby reached out to me in 2023, where we had, just a very general over sushi conversation, about this idea. And I was like, cool beans, and the sushi is delicious. Then then January came about, January 2024, and Gabby was like, okay, no, seriously though, I'm truly invested in trying to make this work. Can you do it? So for me, I had to sit with like, well, I can do anything I set my mind to. However, but can I do it? And it was then, I think, true, right? Gabby, around January, February, said yes, talked through some particulars. Gabby ordered the book for me. I had 3 to 4 months to sit with the book, with the text, with those, 3 hats on and make magic, because we were like, so when is it going to go up? When are we going to do it? And yeah, that was pretty much the process. But Gabby can totally add more if I'm missing something.
I mean, I feel like I've lived with this. I mean, Tina, the book came out, was it February 2023? Was it January 2023 when it came out? January?
Yes, January.
And I had been one of the lucky people that actually got a prior PDF. So I had been living with the book for a bit, because Tina and I have known each other for several years now, and we're in community together before the book came out. And Tina leads these incredible journeys called legacy trips, which she can tell you about. And that's when we met in person. So when the book came out, I kind of knew I was already going to love the book, because I love Tina, and every time I was in her midst, my world was bigger and brighter and pulsing. And I was like, well, I can just get rid of like all these people over here, because now Tina, sort of the same way that I felt about TS in theater. So I consumed Tina's book. And I have a blurb that I wrote about the book, which I can read at some point. I don't have to read it right now, but I'd love to read it, because it's just one of those times when you sit down and your heart just like comes out onto the page. And so I just thought, this book just comes at me from every possible way, intellectually, emotionally, in my heart. Like, I'm on fire. I'm in flight. Everything has to change. We're going to start doing stuff now. And then my next thought right after this, so still we're in the winter of 2023, I was like a TS Hawkins choreo poem. That's how I feel right now. I feel like I'm sitting at one of TS's plays. And then I went, oh, well, maybe. Well, I got to call a couple people now and see if they would do this with me, and because these beautiful people trust me. I'm a white woman, if you can't hear that, audience. But they trusted, and yet they trusted me. And so we got together and started talking individually and then together about what we could do. And we've been, like walking towards it slowly towards the end of 2023. Like, yes, we're going to do it. Yes. Okay. Well, what could we possibly do? What can we afford to do? How could, yes. And then the writing commenced. Not that long ago, earlier this year.
Not that long ago. The writing was swift.
Yes.
Swift from my standards. But it's not something that I'm not used to. I'm a student of Dr. Kamika Williams Witherspoon, and she will give you 24 hours, to finish a piece. So, I will take my 3 to 4 months over 24 hours. I'll do it. And the beautiful part about this, I was able to branch out a bit, as a commissioned writer for this work, because usually I'm writing pieces, because these are my tidbits to the world that I wanted to put out there. So being in a space to sit in Tina's work, always living in Tina's voice. Tina's on the YouTubes, honey. So Ted talking it all up. So having Tina's voice in my head when crafting, the storyline and crafting these characters and just trying to make sure that I'm always centering the book and Tina's voice, even though I'm using the vessel that I have at my disposal, which is heightened language. So it was a beautiful match for me.
Tell me about the mood list.
I wanted to create, another avenue for people to be invested not only in the play but the book. And the wonderful part, I do this with all of my work. All of my work has a mood list. Period. So the most beautiful, like little Easter egg part is that Tina is like, we gotta cool down. We gotta heat this mess up. Like Tina has music in the book, and I was like, okay, Gabby did right. This match works. This works. Okay, I see what you said. I get it. Uh, I get it. I see the little egg, the crumbs you're leaving behind. So the mood list is just, another way to interact, to feel, to set the tone for what's in store. And I love it. A lot of the songs do come from Tina's book, but the majority is the visceral emotions that I was having in transcribing these characters. So it's fun.
And a couple of elements of Black joy in there.
That's right. Mm, yes, yes. My whole album speaks to Tina's journey, and that's why I was like, I don't understand how we haven't met each other, why our worlds haven't passed sooner. But I suppose they passed when they needed to, and this is a beautiful connection.
So I know you've all been continuously engaging with the piece, and I'm sure your feelings evolve about the piece every time you return to it. So how does it make you? Well, Tina, how does your book make you feel now that it's complete? And then how does this piece make you feel now that it's ready for an audience? And then I'll put the same question to Gabrielle and TS.
My book being complete makes me feel relief. And the book being based on a play makes me feel curious. Do you want me
Okay.
Do you want me to laugh?
Hey,
Tina's
it
like,
could
that's
be
all
simple.
I got. Thank you.
Save the long explanations for the book.
I
It's to the point in real life.
no,
On the page,
those exactly.
it'll
Those
be
are
10
the
pages.
overall feeling. I could give a little bit more, like relief and deep satisfaction that this work is in the world. I was actually really curious, and this is also why I'm going to take this word and describe how I feel about the play. I was really curious how the book would age and how I would feel as it got older. So we are now, as we know, in this political, time of this presidential election year, and I speak a lot to this presidential election. And then I even forecast, I don't know, 50 something years out. So it's just really, it's interesting that looking back on when I wrote it, I do still feel a tremendous amount of pride and satisfaction and also relief. And so coming into the experience of what I'm feeling around the play is that curiosity around, so what are the kids going to grow up and do with their lives, kind of a vibe. So being very interested in TS's perspective and what TS has done with the characters, and really showed a completely new side of the book that is the same story. It is the story of liberation. And so it's, yeah, I just hold a lot of curiosity and gratitude around it.
And I'll those feelings for Gabrielle and then TS.
Um, I mean, I've explained what the book made me feel, and I thought, the only way, theater is my love language, and what matters to me most, I like to make into theater, um, a conversation, a person, a realization, and then it gets written by me or someone else, and I try to get it on a stage so that other people can see it, and that um, and and that TS is such a brilliant artist, and to take this brilliant work by Tina and bring it to TS, and then that TS, I mean, they write in choreo poem. So you get a poem and a play together. And that to me was just like, I mean, it was the gift that I could give to Tina. If she would allow me and TS would agree to it, this is the gift that I could give to Tina for being in my life and for writing this book that is, it's a Black queer guide to divorcing America, but it is absolutely a blueprint for everyone's freedom, for collective liberation. It speaks to everyone, and I want everyone to read it. And I always want everyone to see all of TS's work. So for me, I'm just very excited. Likewise, about children, and I have a child who's absolutely nothing that I ever could have imagined before I became a parent. She is a beautiful wonder, but I could not have created her in my mind before she existed. And similarly, I had no idea what to expect from, putting these two humans together and their work together and their artistry together. And I was just willing to do it if they were willing to allow me to do it. And we don't know what comes, and then we don't know how it's received. Obviously, all of us in theater, it's like no idea how to be received. Is anyone gonna, whatever, all the things. But it's important enough to just do it. Let's please just do it.
I agree with how it's received. I literally was sweating bullets when I had to take my hands off of it. Like, just like, oh my God, what is this? All those emotions were flooding. And I just had to let it go. And it was easy to let go because, I'm partnering with Gabby. Gabby and I have worked together, over the years. It's been years now. And so sitting in that trust, knowing that I'm in partnership with Gabby, making this work come to life, I sweated it out. I fretted it out, clicked send. And yeah, that was, that was it. So, emotionally, I'm just excited. I'm elated. I'm glad. I'm proud. So many robust emotions that sit in this work. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Cynda Purnell, Maria Giano Beltre, and Jordan Simone, who are taking this journey with us to help this work come to life. And those actors are people, that trust me. So it's a lot of trust that's in space. Like they trust me, I trust Gabby. Gabby loves the world. And I just met Tina, but Tina's like, sure, just don't fuck up my shit, I I love that, and I'm just excited to see how this new community is going to evolve and grow.
We're very excited about the cast.
The cast is
I mean,
beautiful. I
the cast
mean,
is beautiful.
my I can't. There's literally, as someone who writes words, I have no words. My cast is beautiful, and it reflects the work that we are going to see on stage.
Great. I haven't experienced Maria perform on stage, so I'm looking forward to this.
Maria is such a doll. Maria is the second most person to be in the majority of my works. So, Maria and Cynda and I know each other from college. So even though we were different years, we know each other from college. And so kind of have the same background, same training, same technique. And just watching, Maria's very, very demure, very demure on stage. So getting her to step into this role is a little bit different. Maria is playing Destiny, and Destiny does have, the bulk of the responsibility in this work. So having Maria step up into the role and not, just be an ensemble member in one of my choreo poems is such a beautiful thing to witness. Cynda has always played principal in my work, so she gets a little bit of a breather, but it's a two-hander, so they definitely have to work together. But it's gonna be majestic watching them work together.
Somebody wants to chime in with thoughts.
I know. I feel like every time people are like, nobody needed me, all day. Well, I was with the kids, but nobody needed me. It's like the alerts.
Yes. Gabrielle, you mentioned earlier a blurb.
Oh,
Would you like to read it?
I would love to read it. I said some of the words earlier, but I will read them right now. You're experiencing a seminal work when it feels like someone brilliant and beautiful has just smashed themselves right into you, into your thoughts, your emotions, into every part of your being. And at its finish, you feel stunned, on fire, in flight, and resolved to never go back to whatever standard you were working with prior. Tina Strawn's Are We Free Yet? The Black Queer Guide to Divorcing America is far beyond an inspirational memoir that we can read, far beyond a liberation workbook and journal we can do. It is a gorgeous, pulsing, undeniable map of the revolution, internally, externally, in solitude, in community, in legislation, in praxis, in life.
That is
that's what I had to say about that.
Blurb.
That is right. A well blurb. Yes.
Or that blurb is blurbing.
That's so beautiful, Gabby. Thank you. Wow.
Thank you.
So, Tina, how do you feel now about letting your baby soar?
The word that came to me is ecstatic. I'm going to go with that.
Short and sweet. We
Yeah.
love it.
He keeps it cute, okay? That's what
Yeah.
I said it. And if you didn't hear me, I literally wrote the book, so go on by yourself. Like, that's what I love about Tina.
And, with theater, this is the beautiful part, right? I mean, like, Tina's new to theater. And, and a lot of the folks that we expect to come and see it, actually, that we believe many of them to be, new to theater as well. Not like the folks that TS and I are going to be, bringing, but others. And this is the beautiful part when it's your baby, right? Because then we have to go through rehearsal, and there's always stuff that you got to get through, and that, with that, and then putting it out there and seeing, I mean, this will be relatively brief. It's 2 performances on one day just to get it out there. And then there's how it is received. So, and that will change it, or that changes so many things about the whole thing. Not necessarily that it will change the work itself, but it changes the experience of the creators. And so this is the beautiful part when it's our baby, and we can just make sure that we're giving it as much love as we possibly can before we unleash it.
Yeah, it's a baby 2 times. It's Tina's baby My baby, it's Gabby's baby. Oh, 3 times. It's a baby 3 times. Gabby's baby. So it's just rebirth all over the place.
That's right.
Love it. So before we wrap up, how can our listeners be in collaboration in this leg of the journey?
Oh, yes. So listeners, I don't know what you're doing October 5th, either at 1:30 or 7 p.m., but you need to come and have fun with us and sit at the table with us, wink, wink, uh, at Theater Exile, because that's where, she is going to thrive on her feet. This new work, this new breath that centers Tina's book. So come out and see us October 5th at Theater Exile. Showtimes are 1:30 p.m. That's our matinee, and 7 p.m., which is our evening, our closer, if you will. And at the 1:30 after that show, we are going to have a creative chatback. So if you have any comments, questions, concerns, emotional outbursts, that is the show to attend. And 7 p.m., we are going to have, after the show, a beautiful champagne celebration for the one and the only Tina Strawn before they hop back on, the flight to freedom, which is Costa Rica. So come on out October 5th and play with us.
Great. Any other comments before we wrap up?
I would say that the book is available everywhere you get your books. It's called the Are We Free Yet? Are We Free Yet? The Black Queer Guide to Divorcing America by Tina Strawn. Do yourself a favor and get yourself a copy of that book.
Yeah.
Great. So we will
Make plans to see.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, and make plans to come and see us. It's going to be wonderful.
Absolutely. So it's the Are We Free Yet project, October 5th, 1:30 and 7 p.m. For more information, you can go to tspoetics.com. You'll also be able to get tickets at theaterexile.org. And we'll also have a link in the show notes for the book, Are We Free Yet? The Black Queer Guide to Divorcing America. Tina Strawn, Gabrielle Corsaro, TS Hawkins, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. I've got my ticket. I'm looking forward to October 5th. And by then, I will have audibly consumed the book. And I will have met Tina in New Orleans.
That's right.
I'm looking forward to all of it.
Just living it up. Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Absolutely.
That's
Thank
meant
you
to
all
be.
so much for chatting with me today. It was truly a pleasure.
Thank you, Darna.
Thank you, Darnell.
Thank you to our guests, T.S. Hawkins, Gabrielle Corsaro, and Tina Strawn, for joining us on today's podcast. The Broad Street Review podcast is an Emory production. If you would like to be a guest on the podcast, visit us online at em3ry.com. Get involved with Broad Street Review. Head on over to our website at www.broadstreetreview.com and click Get Involved at the top. While you're there, help keep us running and click Donate to find out how. There you can also find our social media links. Thank you for your part in keeping the conversation going.